It's time for Twig. This week in Google, Jeff is here. Gina's back. We're going to talk about Mat Honan's hack and two-factor authentication, whether it's a good idea on your Gmail account. We'll also talk about autonomous vehicles, the Olympics, Mars, and more. Twig is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 158, recorded August 8th, 2012. Forking the Meatball. This Week in Google is brought to you by Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. For our special offer, visit Stamps.com, click the radio microphone, and use promo code TWIG. And by Ting.com. Ting gives you big savings and billing clarity for mobile phone service. Try their online savings calculator and save $50 on your device purchase at ting.com/twig. It's time for This Week in Google, or Twig, as it is colloquially known by the children on the street. We welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm just glad to put this rumor to rest, Gina Trapani, who is not gone.
No.
She's bailed out.
Jeff Jarvis also. Gina wasn't here last week. It's my fault because I neglected to say Gina Trapani is on assignment.
And I neglected to say that I was on vacation and I wouldn't be on the show. So there were lots of rumors that I got bounced.
No, they're both lying to you. She was suspended for bad behavior. She was forgiven.
She tweeted my email address.
We'll see how she does.
I doxed Leo. It was not very scandalous or exciting. I was just on vacation and I didn't say anything. So
and you learned how to cook meatballs. Your mama's a meatballs.
I did. My family came to visit us in San Diego, and I learned how to cook my mom's meatballs. So, but I really missed doing the show. I'm thrilled to be back.
And no truth to the rumor that you turned down Yahoo for the CEO gig.
Well, I can't comment on that.
Gina blogs at smarterware.org. She's the author of ThinkUp app, which is a great Twitter analysis tool used by the White House, among others. Jeff Jarvis is a professor of journalism at the City University of New York. You might have seen him on CNN this week talking eloquently about NBC fail. He also is the author of Public Parts, which is available at bookstores everywhere, and blogs at buzzmachine.com. Now I got all the plugs out of the way. You look great, by the way, in a coat and tie, Jeff. Very sharp.
I know. This is my
what is that? Circles?
Yeah. I bought it. I didn't get it for free. I bought it at the Google gift shop.
Aw.
Nice.
Aww.
I'll dress up next week for you, Leon.
Aw.
Well, it's nice not to be the only one in a T-shirt.
Underneath, I'm wearing a T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm working at home today, and it's summertime, so I'm wearing my shorts. What's worse? Oh, no. Knobby knees.
Don't show those on CNN. Oh, no. The world is not ready.
You're not going to see my knees.
So what was that like? You were on CNN talking about NBC, and you've been very outspoken in NBC's handling of the Olympics. And yet, as many have pointed out, yeah, NBC not calling, as many have pointed out, the ratings and the revenue are great, right?
And the reviews by the users, according to Pew, did a big survey this week. So, eat that crow. But I don't think it's not about everyone loving it. I think the question is that you have super fans of sports who are clearly ill-served.
There's a word I will use, and we use it a lot on this show, and it applies, I think, to this. It is stewardship.
Yes.
That there are some things that, that you do as a network that, hey, it's my show, I could do whatever I want with. And then there are some things that are bigger than you. Twitter has stewardship, for instance, over this internet dial tone, this information nervous system that it runs. It is more than just a private company at some point. NBC and the Olympics, this is stewardship. You are the sole channel of the Olympics, the sole legal channel of the Olympics in the United States. You have a higher duty, yes, than simply making money or getting ratings.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I also think that it's smart business. It's in these days, it's bad business to screw your customers.
In the long run, because, and this is what's changed, they will have a choice.
Yes. And they will talk about you.
Without choice, NBC has a monopoly. And right now, most people don't know of any other way to get anything better.
Tunnel Bear.
What? Tunnel Bear. I think he sounded... Spoon! Tunnel Bear.
Spoon.
But you're right. But that's a small minority of people who know that. But what I'm saying is, as time changes, that's why the music industry finally had to bow. Was that more and more people learned to pirate because of their stupid policies, and finally they had to say.
I've also been struggling to write a post. I haven't gotten it done yet because I haven't been disciplined. I've been hanging around in T-shirts and shorts.
It's summertime. Just relax.
But about the responsibilities of a platform, which we talked about in last week's show. It comes to the Guy Adams case of the user kicked off Twitter. It comes to the notion of, I think, newspapers acting more like platforms and the responsibilities that come. Part of this discussion, too, is advertising support, is the question that some ask and say, well, it's impossible. So this is why app.net, as you pointed us to in email, Leo, is trying to start a user-supported Twitter. Seth Godin wrote a post this week arguing for just that. If, the old, not very economic argument that if N people paid N dollars, we'd be rich. That's fine, but I'm not giving up on advertising support because I think that it's necessary for media. It's a better model. Without it, we'll have less content and more content behind paywalls, and that's bad for all of us. The reason that you have to make it work, you do every day, is you have the trust of your audience in your hand, and if you violate it by selling out to bad advertisers or by hawking advertisers outside of that, they'll savage you and leave you. But you maintain your trust, and the same thing is possible for media, and the same thing is possible for Twitter, I think. And NBC as well, that NBC doesn't have to just do the things that they used to do years ago. They can super serve their viewers and still win, I think.
They pay a lot for the Olympics. It's very expensive.
They do.
Matt and Meredith have to have their hairdressers, their car drivers, their bodyguards. This is not easy.
They got to pay Ryan Seacrest.
Ryan Seacrest alone.
But I still believe, and the problem is there's no way to test this, one way or the other, you're proving a negative. I would bet that if they showed the hot events live, that it would cause more social chatter about them among those who saw them, and that would cause more viewership to catch up on it at prime time.
And I guess what I'm saying is they will never, ever find that out unless forced to.
Yes.
And what will force them to is widespread internet malfeasance. As people pirating it, doing it without their permission.
It ain't going to be very widespread. I mean, I seriously, Tunnel Bear, for those who don't know it, it's a very, very easy way to VPN into UK server. And it's free.
And you can watch the BBC ad-free.
And you can watch the iPlayer.
Everything.
The iPlayer is magnificent.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And you can watch BBC Live then, too, in the UK channels. It's very easy. I think it's $4.99 a month for unlimited. So, yeah, they've made it an incredibly easy app. Really pretty, and you just slip on and off and on and off, and that's it. Still, it's going to be a tiny number. Just as the argument is the number on Twitter fetching like me is also very small.
Wow, this Tunnel Bear's cool. I didn't know about it.
So what
it's
should
free
NBC
too.
have done? Should NBC have allowed for people to pay to watch? So if you had a cable login, you could have watched most of the events live.
Well, I'm not
right?
sure. So I have a cable login. I'm paying for an Xfinity. I have all the NBC channels. And Xfinity has a special on-demand Olympics on demand that is ad-free, and they say everything is there. I really wanted to see Ennis, who won the heptathlon. I saw her final amazing 800-meter run where she led, beginning to end. Didn't need to. She'd already practically won. And I wanted to see the other events, javelin, shot put. I thought, this is really the Olympics, this heptathlon. 7 events. You have to be an all-around athlete. I was so impressed by her, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Okay, so they're not actually streaming.
Well, maybe it's me, but it's not easy.
They stream live. Not all of it's taped later. Not all of it's a rerun on the web. So you can watch it live, but then you got to know it exists, which is really hard to do. But I think there's a silver lining for the networks in here, as I've been arguing that there's no need for channels. Channels are a false curation.
Right.
Why do we need to put together a channel? Well, the truth is, the viewers do want the channel. They want to be able to sit on the couch and watch the best of the live as it occurs.
That's true.
That's good news for old-fashioned channels, which still have higher revenue.
Right.
So the odd thing here is, to me, NBC is devaluing its channel. I still salute NBC for what they did by putting all this stuff up online. We need a better kind of TV guide to it, but that's a UI problem. We'll figure that out.
Well, we also, the fact that they're owned by Comcast.
Yes.
Kind of the mixing there of different conflicting points of view bugs me a little bit. I mean, Comcast is never going to get because Comcast doesn't want to be an internet service provider. They want to be a premium content provider.
Yeah.
So their business model does not allow for this. So I don't think NBC ever is going to get the idea because their owners won't.
The bigger idea here is whether content is still a business model. The idea that you can, and we talked about this in the show too.
God, I hope so, because that's what I do.
Every time we do it, I argue back that you're not. Your relationships, your community, you are the
community,
gatherer. You're the maypole we all dance around.
Right. I'm the maypole.
Not a very tall one.
All right. Well, grab your ribbons, kids.
We got some Google news.
There's some Google news. Where do you want to start? I'll let you pick, Gina, since you were gone last week. You get the choose.
Well, something just broke today. Google hosted a search breakfast for press, and they announced a couple of things. One of the things that they announced is that they're launching a field trial that you can opt into, and this just interests me because it's a product thing. You can opt into seeing your Gmail messages in Google search results.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. So you opt in, and then you search for something on Google, and there's a little module on the top right that shows Gmail messages in your account that you're signed into, which also contain that keyword. And when I thought I thought this is great. Google Desktop used to do this. It's not, it makes sense. It goes along with Search Plus Your World.
Oh, the creepy police are out.
Well, so many people who I really respect and who are smart and good were saying this is a terrible idea.
What?
Why would you mix public information with private information? This is going to freak people out. No one wants this. Ew. And I was really surprised because, and I tweeted this, I think what we need to, forget user experience, just purely from the perspective of user education, we want to encourage Google to expose all the contextually relevant personal data it has about you in its search results, which is its most used interface, just so that users get used to the idea Google has this information about me and it's showing it back to me. In these different interfaces. I mean, this is what the privacy policy consolidation was all about, right? So now you have search and Gmail kind of tied together. And I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I opted into the field trial, and they enabled it for my account kind of right away. I've been using DuckDuckGo for a while now. So
they got you back.
So I went back to Google and gave it a try, and yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It makes a lot of sense. It goes along with Search Plus Your World. It does not, the field trial at least does not support Google Apps accounts. So it has to be a vanilla Google account. And that the trial page says that they might not be able to let everyone in and you have to kind of apply, and then they send you a message letting you know whether or not you're in. But I think this is a good direction, and I was surprised that so many people thought that it was such a terrible idea. I mean, like I said, Google Desktop, which has since been discontinued, this is what it did for you, but you had to install it on your desktop, obviously.
It's Gina, it's such a knee-jerk reflex now. Oh my God, my email's there. Yeah, it's on your page. It's on the same exact browser that your email's in anyway. Yeah. It's only for you. If you're looking for this restaurant, you might find there's an old reference to it. Well, hallelujah. But now this knee-jerk, oh my God, change is bad. Not just change is bad, but anything having to do with me is bad. And that holds back so much potential progress.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm usually the privacy one kind of here. I'm never kind of totally with Jeff on this, but on this one, Jeff, I'm completely with you. It's like, why wouldn't you show this information? You have it. They're doing it over SSL, so it's encrypted. Of course, people are saying, what if someone's looking over your shoulder? Or you do this on a shared computer. But if you're signed into Google, it makes sense for Google to show you relevant results from all the bits, all the context, data it has for you. And why wouldn't it do it in the search results? I mean, that's the most popular and most used Google interface that they have. And it's just good for users to have an awareness. Like, yes, Google has this is private information, and this is public information on the web. And I don't think mixing them is such a big such a big deal. It's not in line. I mean, it's off to the right.
You don't have to turn this on. I mean,
no, you opt in. You join. You join on your So I don't know if this is going to become default.
What's a use case you could imagine it being handy for? Because that's part of what Google has to do in these cases is sell it. This is to say, folks, this is why we're doing it, because it's going to give you benefit in your life.
I mean, I constantly, I mean, for me, it's just kind of a unified search box. I'm constantly searching my Gmail for messages, for links, for words. So for me, it's like, oh, hey, if this works really well, I'll go to one search box and get everything, in one shot. If I'm looking for a link that Anil emailed me, if I search in Google, I can get either his message or, the link itself.
Let me show you one, though. A couple of problems I have with it. I mean, I love it, and I turn it on. First of all, the Google results page is now vastly overloaded. So I searched for Australia. So on the right, I'm getting the knowledge graph of gold medals that Australia's won. I'm getting schedules. And now down here is Gmail results. And I only get 3 if I do the same search.
Or do you get Outback Steakhouse there, Leo?
Yeah. If I do the same search for Australia on Gmail, I get far more results. Yeah. So it's not the same results. That's one problem, right?
The field trial is definitely understated. It's a small module. That's not mine was collapsed by default.
By default, it is. I opened it up. Yep.
Yeah, and it does seem to be quite all the search results you would get if you went into your Gmail and searched.
It looks like maybe it's the first 3 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's not. It seems kind of random. Actually,
I'm actually searching. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I searched for Lifehacker, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 results, including. Yeah, this is kind of random.
It's just like a sample.
A random collection.
Well, here's some of the email messages saying Lifehacker that you might have. And I do think that this is going to be a problem that Google. And remember, this was Marissa Meyer's fight to keep the Google search page simple. I guess the results page has been getting more and more baroque all the time, but now it's like, whoa! I'm seeing the Google bar. I'm seeing Google Plus notifications. I'm seeing knowledge graph. I mean, it's just huge.
Mm-hmm. It was
just one more thing.
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up one more time as I said before, but the hyper-personal news stream was Marissa Meyer's vision, that you bring together all these flows of information and Google adds value to them because of what it can get to and know about you.
No, this is that. Yeah. It's got my location in here, so, I get, and I like the knowledge graph. The fact that I can see, if I'm searching for Australia and the Olympics are going on, it seems likely I might want to see what Australia's medal count is, when their next events would be. That's cool. I guess that's useful. You just have to look around on the page. The results are way down on the lower right.
Well, in this event that was held with search, is that they say that the future of search, and I've always said this too, they want to intuit your intent. It's not about you having to manually search. It's about feeding you information,
right? Because
it knows more about you.
I don't mind is it a surprise to people that Google has all the contents of your emails? Don't we know that already? Wasn't that common knowledge?
We should. And if it's not common knowledge, it's only going to become common knowledge, right, if you see it in your search results.
Is that what people are concerned about?
It seemed like the reaction was that it's a bad user experience to mix private information with public information. That if you're searching the web, it's like going to the library versus.
Maybe it reminds them of Buzz.
Maybe.
It's not leaking any information.
No, that's the thing. It's not mixing it in there. It's just presenting it.
Yeah, a friend of mine, the first response was, "Oh, what could go wrong?" I think it's this idea that there's a possibility that it would somehow leak or release private information.
It's HTML.
Right.
Now I'm doing something Gmail Australia. Somebody suggests, and what you get then is the Gmail results at the top.
Oh, interesting. So Gmail is like, that's like a keyword that says this. I'm looking in my Gmail.
Then I'm getting some Gmail results in my Australia. You got Gmail results in my Australia search. You got Australia in my Gmail search.
Oh, see, it's still over to the right for me.
Oh, is it?
So they're obviously still, tweaking and experimenting on us.
Yeah.
And you imagine, too, that it can give you your calendar. It can give you things from books you've read. It can give you what else could it give you?
I think as long as it's an on-off switch that you can disable, why would you mind? I understand. Some people think, oh, personal results should not show up in internet search. I do get that.
Yeah, I think that's the objection. I mean, do we all have sort of this an idea that kind of Google has sort of pushed this idea of this purity of search results? You know, that they should be objective, that they should be public, that they should be correct.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
That's in the rearview mirror. That's been
that is
for ages.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was, you know what? You're right. I was one of those people who was going, no, keep it pure. Maybe I've given up now.
It's
it looks like
data.
social search. Yeah, social search is here to stay. Kind of the personal news stream, like Jeff was saying.
Interesting.
Or Yahoo.
So that's one new Google feature. Other Google news. There's a lot of Google news. You're right. Other Google news. They say now they're going to put voice-based answers in Google search on the iPad and the iPhone. I hope they do this in Android, but it's kind of Google Now creeping into the iOS devices, and some have said this is where Google clobbers Siri. I don't think so, because Siri's still like you don't have to go anywhere to do Siri; you just press the button.
But aren't they saying it's kind of the quality of it?
Yes, because Siri doesn't, is searching Wolfram Alpha and stuff, and Google's going to give you much better results. It's a Google Now style contextual search.
Right. It doesn't have the cards interface that Google Now has, but it does look like it's kind of a competitor to Siri. But you're right. Siri has that native, you double press the home button and it's got the commercials and Zoe Deschanel. But Google probably would just return better results.
Yeah.
I never get any cards worth a darn. I get the weather and my appointments. That's it. That's it.
Oh, you got to do a few searches for your favorite sports teams, and then you'll get. I kind of like that. I'm getting sports scores now. At first, it was doing the Minnesota Twins. I got to stop searching for Twins online. But then I'm joking. I don't know why it thinks I wanted to know the Minnesota Twins. But so what I did is I just did a couple of prophylactic searches for the Giants, and that fixed it. So. I don't know why it thinks I might want to go to the Nike factories. Oh, I know why. Oh, my God. Okay, that's a little creepy. Okay, I just bought a fuel band this morning. And there must be in my Gmail an email from Nike, because the top card is how far it is to the Nike factory store.
Yeah, that's Clay Johnson, my former coworker, said that that he was at a bus stop and bus times loaded. Just kind of when you're near the stop, and that directions magically appear when you need them. I haven't had that experience. I mean, I think if you have the Nexus 7, without data, if you're just on Wi-Fi, you're less likely to have that happen. But I expect that with Google Glass and with the Galaxy Nexus, which I've activated, and I'm going to carry around with me a lot more, that it's way more. Google Now is way more useful when you have a data plan and you're not Wi-Fi only and you're moving around the world.
Of course it is, and I have to say I'm loving Google Now. I can't wait to get a Jelly Bean phone. Mm-hmm. So here's the Giants score, and then there's recaps and highlights and box scores, so I could click those. Here's weather. Here's my next calendar appointment. You don't get that, Jeff?
I get the calendar. That's it. Yeah. That's all I get.
Just the calendar. And I could show more cards, and it shows nearby businesses, including ours, from Google Places. And it's kind of a nice interface. I love this.
It's a really nice interface.
Yeah. I think you're right. I can't wait to. Now, are you using it on your Nexus phone? Do you see more stuff because of that, Gina?
I just activated the Galaxy Nexus, so I haven't taken it out and about just yet, but I'm hoping to see more of that. And
then there's settings. So on the commute, or whatever that is, I can say card appears before commute from home, before commute to home, before other commutes, after searching Google, airport, hotel if traveling, other places of traveling. These are settings. So I can check these boxes.
Where do you get that?
That's nice.
This isn't so you promise you got to get a card first. But once you get a card, by the way, there's my searches for Australia and Tunnel Bear. Once you get a card, there's the ... Now by the way, I'm starting to understand the Jelly Bean menu metaphor, because now not just up here, but I can have a ... on a card, which tells me, you've got a menu on a card specific menu.
Crow, are we? Mr.
Yeah, I'm starting to get it. Same thing with sports. I can customize my sports results before a game, during a game, after a game, edit teams. So I could have just done that. Game details, low priority. So this, and you could turn it off or on. So Jeff, go into your Google now and play with it a little bit, because you can get a lot more.
That's all I get is okay.
Well, but you have to launch the app, right, to see these things.
Says show more cards.
So the way you get it is you tap the search bar. So on the Nexus 7, this is another thing, by the way, I complained about with Ice Cream Sandwich, is the wasted real estate with this forced Google search widget. Well, now it makes a little more sense. You tap it. It's not notifications. It's right below notifications, and now then you get the card, the Google Now cards.
Oh, that's cool.
You don't have that?
You can launch it from the lock screen as well.
Yeah, I use a
Laporte
password lock-in.
Oh, right, you have.
So I don't get any of that. See, that's too bad, because if you want a secure device, you lose all of the cool lock screen features, unless you use a third-party app, of course.
Whoa! It gives your age.
Wait a minute, you searched for me?
Yeah,
Leo Laporte. Well, my age
has your birth date and age there.
Oh, now it's getting.
That's from Wikipedia.
Yeah, I mean, that's knowledge graph.
It is? Oh, okay, all right.
Apparently, it just took too much of that. Let me do that again. Now I got Loic Lemur. Leo Laporte. Okay, now we're going to see. So, actually, this is probably a good thing to do. Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, okay.
And that was all this stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just Wikipedia.
You know what? No. This is Google. I think this is my Google profile.
Oh, it's your profile. Yeah. Gotcha.
So I control this. By the way, and we'll talk about it. In fact, we can talk about it after the break. You might want to consider what you put online. Mat Honan wishes he didn't have so much online and were so discoverable. The latest nasty hack has nothing to do with how many bits of encryption you use, how secure your passwords are. We'll talk about that and more in just a bit. Gina Trapani is here. Jeff Jarvis is going to play with his Google Now for a little while. I hear, by the way, the Galaxy S3, Samsung has announced we are ready to ship Jelly Bean.
Sweet.
So I probably will get one of the first ones because I haven't unlocked. I don't have a carrier. So I'll probably get it pushed out pretty quick. They say they're waiting approval from Google, and they've got the code, and they're going to push it out soon.
Right on.
Yay.
Everybody needs to get on the bean.
It is better. In fact, I was talking to Jason Howell, who's the host of our Android show, all about Android. He had just reviewed the Asus Prime Transformer Infinity, which is the latest version of their docking Android tablet with keyboard, and it's still shipping on ICS. And he had moved from his Nexus 7 with Jelly Bean. He says there's a big difference. Jelly Bean really does make things a lot faster. It's hard to go back.
I'm loving mine. I honest to God, I'm going to get in trouble. I will later in the show. I got in trouble with Apple fanboys, and I'm going to do it again. But as soon as I got my Nexus 7, I honestly have not picked up my iPad once.
I know.
I haven't either.
I know.
Haven't done it.
It's just the right size.
I'm shocking myself.
Yay. He, by the way, loved the Infinity, the Transformer, Asus Transformer Infinity. Loved it, and I do too. It is, what a beautiful display. You get a key. I mean, there are some great Android products now. I think Apple's going to have a little trouble come September when the new iPhone comes out.
Yeah, I think Jelly Bean was they turned a corner. It was a minor release, but they turned a corner. It was like, this is what Android always could be. This is what we always wanted it to be.
Yes.
It really felt like, okay. I feel good about recommending people the devices that it's available on are very limited, but I feel just really good about Android now. I feel like it really reached a solid place.
Remember that when the new iPhone comes out late September, I would guess that by then, all the new Android phones will be coming with Jelly Bean. For instance, the Galaxy Note 2, actually, there's some concern. That's going to be launched. Samsung has said the Galaxy Note 2, providing the courts allow us, will be launched on August 29th. However, there's apparently some rumor that despite the fact that it's got a quad-core Exynos processor, 4G LTE, improved cameras, it might be Ice Cream Sandwich. That can't be possibly true. Anyway, that one's going to have a new screen, according to the rumors, that is a special kind of. It's virtually a flexible screen.
Really?
And which means it's very thin, so you can get more battery in there. The benchmarks were inadvertently leaked and very impressive. And it's big. It's much bigger than the original Galaxy Note. It's like 5.5 inches now.
So it's almost getting to be 7 size. So let's call it even 6. Okay.
I'm very intrigued. I think that's going to be my next phone. But now I'm putting really in a tough position, and I think a lot of people will be. iPhone 5, which we'll see, are there any major improvements and advances? We've seen iOS 6, so we know some of what's in there. But a new connector, so I've got to go out and get all new stuff. Or maybe I'm going to get an unbreakable Galaxy Note that is 5.5 inches. That may be my phone for...
Are you going to drop your Nexus 7 when you have that on Jelly Bean?
That's an interesting question, isn't it?
That's the real question to me.
I loved my Note. I love the S3 even more. I'm such a whore.
Never count out Apple, though. Never count out Apple.
All right, you're right.
There's going to be something awesome with the iPhone. You know there will be.
You know I'm going to buy both, so it doesn't really...
Right.
That's my job. And please, folks, it's my job. I do it so you don't have to. Long ago, I chose this path. I'm like a monk.
Take the bullet for us, Leo.
I gave up the security, the safety of having one phone for 2 years for the very rough and tumble life of a new phone every few months. Believe me, folks, it is a path only a few should walk. I did this for you.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Thank God I didn't have to get the funny haircut. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with more. Gina Trapani, Jeff Jarvis, Leo Laporte. This is TWiT. This Week in Google, brought to you today by Stamps.com. This is something I'm not giving up. I will not. I will walk the monastic life, but I will not. You can get my stamp scale out of my hands when you pry it from my cold dead fingers. Stamps.com lets you print U.S. postage. I'm sorry, I get emails all the time from Brits saying, well, we may have the Olympics, but you've got Stamps.com. Lets you print U.S. postage from your computer and your printer. You don't need special ink. You don't need a postage meter. How is Pitney Bowes still in business? I don't understand. This is so cool. You print out, and I'm going to show you how you get the USB scale. So you plop the letter or the package or whatever on there. You print exactly the postage you need. Not 1 penny more, not 1 penny less, governor. And you put it right on there. And then the mail carrier comes, they get it. So you never have to get up from your desk. You never go to the post office again. You can get up from your desk, but you don't have to go to the post office anymore. They do things that are so cool. For instance, you can print right out. I keep thinking, we mail these out, and we print right on the envelope. You can put your logo on there. I mean, it really looks pro. And Stamps.com works with QuickBooks and other software to actually get the addresses. So if you're doing invoices or billings or whatever, it does it all, prints it beautifully on the stamp and everything on there. But you can also do things like international mailing, which is always a hassle. You got to go get the forms and do all this. Nope, Stamps.com does it all. Fill out the forms for you even. If you're an Amazon or eBay seller, same thing. Fill out the forms from the data on the screen. It's so smart. Now, here's what you do. Go to Stamps.com, and you can try this free for a month. Now, wait a minute. Don't do the $80 value. Click the microphone in the upper right-hand corner. It says, heard about us on a podcast or radio, and use our promo code TWIG, T-W-I-G. The $80 deal, $110. You get $55 in free postage coupons. You can't use them all at once. But you can use them over a period of a few months. You get the scale. You pay shipping and handling. So I can't technically call this a free offer. It's $5 shipping and handling. But you can keep the scale. Cancel at any time and keep the scale. So it's a good deal. You get $5 worth of materials. They give you a whole supplies kit and a month of Stamps.com with no charge. So, it's a good deal. $110 offer. Just use our promo code TWIG. Really great for an eBay or Amazon seller. Anybody who does a lot of mailing. Of course, every business. We have 2 accounts because we fight over the scale. Stamps.com. Try it right now. Just use our offer code to get that extra deal. So, Google's self-driving cars complete 300,000 miles without an accident. Actually, if you read the blog, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, it says something, it says, wait a minute, where is it? I got to read this exactly right. Completed more
on TechCrunch.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the Google blog the official blog has it. Basically, they said 300,000 miles whenever the computer was in charge, no accident, which implies to me, see, there hasn't been a single accident under computer control
early on,
and it was a human.
Early on. It was a human.
I know it's parsing but there hasn't been a single accident under computer control. Emphasis mine.
Well, and now they have one on Mars.
That's right. It's not
There you go.
autonomous, is it? Sort of autonomous because it's 14 minutes communication lag. You can't exactly steer it.
So you sit in the driver's seat when you're in one of these cars.
Hover
and
your
it
hands
drives
over.
You hover. No, you don't. You don't.
No,
Do you?
no. You sit back, you smoke a pipe, you read Playboy, and it takes you to work.
It's sort of like an airplane pilot. You watch.
You
but
watch. You're there.
You don't necessarily. So what do you think is more audacious, Google Glass or the self-driving car?
Self-driving car.
Self-driving car.
Transforms the world.
Yes, it does. It does. It changes the view of how we spend our time. It changes the view of, gee, the car can come pick you up and take you somewhere. The information that's about that. Our relations with people while we're in the car. Oh, yeah, it changes so much.
And the thing that's interesting, safety is huge. And I think that's what's going to promote this. It's so interesting to watch people's attitude change. Because if you asked this 3 years ago, people universally, I'm not going to let a car drive. That's scary. But now planes fly themselves. I hate to tell you, but
Yep.
frequently the plane is landing itself. The pilot's sitting there. Maybe he's sitting there like this, but he's not doing anything.
Right, unless you're landing a plane in the Hudson, which happens once
you
every
need a human for that.
100 years. Right.
So we're not getting rid of drivers. We're not getting rid of pilots. But from routine, I think one of the things that held back autonomous vehicles, the earliest way we envisioned it was special roads.
Yes, exactly.
But you don't need
And
those.
that was so Google to rethink it entirely.
Yeah. Because it uses LiDAR. It images the road around you. It's on any road. And I think what's going to drive this is as the deaths go up from texting while driving.
Yeah. Yep.
There's going to be a hue and cry. I think people are going to finally say, you know what?
Really good point.
This is not
I
safe.
heard something on the radio the other day, and it's one of those things that's just too glib to be good, but at least it illustrates the problem. Someone arguing that young people were saying that they're not distracted driving, that driving distracts them from communicating.
Oh, that's a great recontextualization. Hey, I should be texting. I'm texting here.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to shift.
Right.
Steer. I'm texting. I got some. The ads, and they're very moving. And I think they're running on the Olympics of where the horrible one.
Those are a killer.
Where the sister holds up the word "yeah" and says, "This."
They're a heartbreaker.
This was the text I sent my sister that she was reading when she, drove off the cliff and died. And whether that, of course, we have no idea if that she was reading that text. By the way, I just want to point out this a logical fallacy.
It's true, isn't it?
Unless there was a witness.
Right.
But it's a good ad.
Yeah, it is.
And I do think that that's going to be one of a lot of factors that are pushing this. And I wouldn't be surprised. This is going to happen faster than we think. I've talked to autonomous car specialists. One of the visions that I hadn't really thought about, he said, you don't have to own a car anymore.
Right.
And so Zipcar's moving in this direction too, right? The car, if they're autonomous, you don't have to own an RV. You don't have to own a car. What you do is you say, I want to go to the Grand Canyon. Pick me up at 3. Car shows up. You get in it. Drives you to the Grand Canyon. Oh, by the way, I need an RV. When you get there, the RV's there. Drives you wherever you want to be. When you're done, the RV goes back to the fleet. The car goes back to the fleet. You didn't own it.
And by the way, you get so many more options. I wrote about this in What Will Google Do, inspired by a guy named Rashad Tabakawala, who said that if you stop being a manufacturing company, manufacturing cars, and you become a we get you there nicely company, so you're going out for a nice date with your wife tonight. Well, we'll send you the Mercedes. Oh, I just need to haul my kid to college. We'll send you this. I just want to save some energy. We'll send you the Smart. I'm going 10 miles. I'm going 100 miles. You can have all this choice. You're stuck now.
And it's hideously wasteful.
Oh.
We all own vehicles that are not being used 90% of the time.
It's true. It's a good
the
point.
amount of consumables that's wasted is horrendous.
Yes.
So the world is moving in this direction. I have no doubt about this.
And I bet that when Google did take the car to Detroit, remember we did that story 4 months ago or something. You've got to imagine that the argument isn't just it's another feature for the car. The argument's got to be have you seen what happened to the music industry?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen what happened to the newspaper and book industries? You guys are in their path here, and you've got to change your essential model. And can you do that?
Have we been trying to get Sebastian Thrun on the show, Chad?
On this show?
Well, our triangulation. He's the guy in charge of this project. He's also.
I met him in Munich at the DLD conference. Yeah. We share a car. I get in the car and I say, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? I'm Sebastian. Hi, I'm Jeff. What do you do? I'm at Google. Oh, what do you do there? I created the operating system for the car." And then as we drive it on, he says, "Yeah, and I just taught this course and quit Stanford because I got 160,000 people. I'm going to do that now."
Yeah, he's doing. Jeez. Is it Udacity? Which one's he doing?
Udacity. Yeah.
This guy is perhaps one of the most interesting people in the world. I really want to.
There's these people who are hidden in Google like that. I put something up on the list today about it was a Wired feature about if Xerox PARC invented the PC, Google's inventing the net. And a tribute to two other geeks in Google. And you just go to these companies, there are these.
Well, Peter Norvig. Peter Norvig is like Einstein. The guy doing Google Speech, I think his name is Mike Cohen. You're right. It's full of people like that.
Yeah, one story up here, too, is that when you talk to your Android, you're talking to a neural network.
Yeah. That's
just beyond anything that we would have thought of only a few years ago.
Right. The future's happening. It's just maybe hidden inside Google.
The problem is Google owns the future.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just have to get over that. I do notice, I talk to Ford all the time because they're a sponsor. They have been for a few years. I love my Mustang, drive it all the time. And when I first started talking to the CEO of Ford and asked, because I always ask about autonomous vehicles every single time, he was like, no, people like to drive. We're not thinking about that. 3 years later, yeah, we're thinking about that. Yeah, what they're doing is, if you think about the new Ford vehicles, as many manufacturers have automatic lane detection. They have, there's all sorts of automatic stuff, automatic parking. They're slowly, incrementally putting this stuff in the cars.
And people who like to drive will be people who like to ride horses. They can do so.
Yeah.
If they want. Someone in the chat room said that, oh, great, this means that a 19-year-old in Bangladesh could kill people. These cars will be hackable. But that's not a reason not to do something. That's like saying, we shouldn't build houses because the ceiling could fall in. Right. Of course, this is going to present new problems that we're not anticipating. But it seems pretty obvious that the benefit will outweigh the risks.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I think that is true, that we do. If you read Demon or you read this new book which is about predator drones, Kill Decision, it's scary. The idea of them being hacked is scary, and we know hacking happens. We're going to talk about it. But that's not the reason to stop the future.
Absolutely.
We just have to solve it.
And this, when you compare this to glass, like the safety angle, this will save this many lives per year. Right. With glass, it's like, people will say, why do I want this? Why do I need this? The self-driving car, it's a lot more obvious.
I don't think glass is going to save any lives. I'm just a guess.
No, but just one of the other stories in the rundown is how because of the huge proliferation of Android devices, that has now led Google to be able to have live traffic data in 130 cities in America.
Right.
Because just tracking, we know that device is on I-78, and we know it just stopped along with 10 others, so we know the traffic's jammed there, right? That kind of emergent data that comes from us all being connected and doing things has a benefit that we kind of can't yet guess.
Yep.
Google kills Google Listen. I got an email from Rob Walsh at Libsyn. He said, hallelujah! Finally! Because there are good third-party podcast apps. Listen was always a little funky.
A little wonky. What client do you guys like the best? I get this question all the time.
I love Downcast. That's one of there's several. I actually asked this question on Twitter, and Downcast I think was one. Let me see.
I like Dogcatcher.
Dogcatcher, No, Downcast is for iOS. Dogcatcher is the one I like. Yep.
And Instacast. Has a lot of fans.
Yes, those are the two. The nice thing about Dogcatcher is it does audio and video.
Yeah.
And it does it very well. I think it's just really sweet. I have feeds that I subscribe to. automatically updates. It's got all the features you'd want, I think. Speed variation.
Still waiting for the Kindle of podcatcher apps, the one that saves where you've paused, what you've listened to, what you haven't listened to across devices. That's still, not
Pocket Casts. That's another one people like.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not. See, I have an opinion about podcasts in general.
Okay.
They're fine. They're good. Nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, I think podcasts are okay. I mean,
they're okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Beyond Pod, there's another one. But I also noticed that we, and I would imagine a lot of companies, are going to end up doing our own apps.
Did you catch the line on the newsroom last week in the previews? You're one screw up away from having your own podcast.
That was great. I know. I laughed. I loved it. Actually, I'm starting to like Newsroom a little better. I don't know. The 911 episode must have moved both of you guys quite a bit. No.
It got me.
I thought it was.
Got me.
Oh, no. I thought it was just overdone.
That's typical Sorkin. It was a little sentimental.
It was overdone, but it got me.
It got me a lot. So
I hated that it got me.
It's the conceit of Newsroom, which is the Aaron Sorkin show on HBO, which we have talked about before, is that it's covering old news events, so you can kind of see what happened behind the scenes. And of course, none of it has any relation to what actually happens in newsrooms anywhere. That's part of the reason Jeff hates it, because he's actually been in a newsroom. But this one was the Osama bin Laden killing, and I thought they milked the hell out of it.
They did. Oh, the scene on the plane. It was so overwrought, but I'll admit that I was.
It got me, though. I couldn't resist. Yeah. When the guy stands up in the control room and puts on his NYFD hat.
Oh, FDNY hat.
FDNY. I cried.
It was schmaltzy.
But it worked. I cried. I was boo-hooing by the end of it. And I hate that but I was.
I didn't mean to derail the conversation about podcast apps. Sorry.
No, that was a good line. But Sorkin always does this, by the way. Sorkin always sneaks in technology references that are basically snarky. Always.
Yeah.
I have a blog. Lollipop, and Surrender Dorothy. It's all.
So you think every podcast network or podcaster will have their own app?
No, but and so this is an interesting argument, because we talk about open web versus apps all the time, right? But is there an open web role for podcasts? I don't think so. iTunes dominates 99%.
Right. Yeah, and Ed Williams tried audio years ago, right?
And gave up when Apple did iTunes.
Yep. So you just have all these disconnected feeds with these big files hosted across web servers. But I still want that Kindle experience of
I agree. It is RSS. I mean, the good news is it's all standards based. The formats are standards based. The RSS for the feeds is standards based. So it is really open web.
Yeah.
And I hate the idea of an app, but for instance, how does Live fit into that? And Live is very much a part of what we do.
Oh, right. No, that's a good point.
Where does that fit?
Whereas
you want push notifications?
Yeah. So we do apps because we want to have live and chat in addition to download.
And then you want show notes, and I mean, you want the enhanced experience. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel guilty doing an app, but at the same time, it really does. It also, and I have to admit this, and this is why companies that can afford it will do it. It builds in audience because you have space on the desktop, as opposed to being buried inside Dogcatcher.
Right.
It's harder for you to get discovery with it, but it's a better relationship if you have been discovered.
And with our audience, they're smart and they can find it and download it, and then it's a button. And we have, we don't even do our own apps. We're starting to look at that, but we have great people doing really good apps. And the fact that, I don't think of our shows as podcasts. I think of them as on-demand versions of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a conceit, but I think that we're a live network, right?
Yep.
And I think that this kind of a device, I'm looking at a Nexus 7 with
with tape delay. You're on NBC.
This is recursive going on.
Yeah, well, wait till it actually shows the screen. Oh, now we're got a problem. So this kind of app, though, makes us very appealing, and that was instant. I didn't have to download anything. It's just it's like turning on TV.
This is too much fun.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I got to
Dan.
screen cap this.
On the audio old-fashioned podcast, we're seeing Leo, watch Leo, watch Leo.
Yeah, for those of you still listening on audio. But we're looking at Nexus 7. I mean, that's why one of the exciting things about Nexus 7, it's a great media device, right? As will be a 7-inch iPad and perhaps a 5.5-inch Galaxy Note.
But the one thing I wish it had was a back-facing camera, because I shoot things with boards all the time.
I agree. It seems an odd thing to leave out.
It is.
Boy, if they put a great camera in here, like a really good camera in here, this would be really...
The price would go up.
Yeah.
Wait, you really missed the back-facing? I've been watching people in the audience in the Olympics holding up their big iPads, like recording stuff, and it just looks crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I always kind of feel like, why wouldn't you use your phone or a small camera? It just looked crazy. Greg Louganis had this like crazy Ed Hardy iPad cover, was holding it up. I was like, what is that? It's like, oh, that's his iPad.
Now,
the crazy cover on it.
I'm going to pry this open. I don't know. I've never done this before.
Oh.
But I'm going to... Oh, dear. Oh,
dear.
Popeye, this can't go well. Oh, well, yes, you didn't know that, did you? But Robert Ballister, the priest, told me that you can do that on this. And watch what happens when you open it up.
Oh, Leo's snapping open his... Oh, look at how beautiful.
See what that is? That's a hole for a camera.
Oh.
So
yeah.
We could pretty much... Then, by the way, this is a 3G antenna that's not used. So 4G. So we pretty much know that the next generation will have a camera in the back and a 4G radio.
Yep.
Well, I think what's brilliant here is they sold the low end version first to get people used to it, and then they'll pump up.
Yeah, but I'd pay $350 for a camera.
Oh yeah.
This.
Oh, I'm addicted to this. I'll buy the upgrade of this thing. Sure.
This is but this is so much more than a hit. This is a Trojan horse. This is Google, and just as you were saying, Gina. Everybody's starting to say, "Oh, Jelly Bean is not so bad. Oh, this is a pretty good form factor."
Is there anything you miss from your iPad or iPhone? One thing I miss is I can't get HBO and Showtime to go on the Nexus 7.
And AirPlay and stuff like that. But mostly I miss the ecosystem. And I think that's really where Apple has the lock-in, is this kind of all-in-one Apple TV, iTunes ecosystem. But I think in so many ways, Jelly Bean is way ahead of iOS.
Yeah, I mean, I never had an Apple TV, so I stopped buying stuff from iTunes a long time ago.
Right.
So I don't miss that so much. There are a couple of apps I miss. I miss like Notesy, which is a great Dropbox enabled notes app that I use on the iPad. A couple apps here and there, but for the most part, I really haven't missed it.
That's getting rarer and rarer. You know, once Flipboard was on the Android, that was a big one. Instagram. Instagram. By the way, doesn't Marco say he makes more money on Instapaper for Android? He's like 600% up, 600%, something like that.
Did he say that?
Let me see if I can find that.
I would be shocked if he said that because he's.
I know he likes.
He loves iOS.
It was a couple of weeks ago. Let me see if I can find the story. He was shocked. Came out July 4th. Oh, I can't find the story.
I'll look and we can.
Yeah, see if we can find it. All right. Gosh, we only have about an hour and a half, 3 hours maybe left. So let's move through a few stories here. Google, Arthur's Guild seeks $2 billion from Google for book scanning.
Even more than the music people wanted out of what's his name?
Please.
One of the stories that came out, it was part of Google's argument to drop the case, to dismiss the case, that I quite liked, was that, just as one example, by having the books digitized, it was possible to look back at Mad Men and find out what was anachronistic language and not. By not having that knowledge put together in a place where you could analyze it, we lose.
Yep.
Speaking of being a steward, publishers and libraries are stewards of information, for God's sakes, and they're not acting like it.
Don't get me started on the academic journal scam.
Yep.
That's a really obscene scam perpetrated by some of the same fine publishers. Here it is. Instapaper for Android, thank you, chat room, sees a 600% jump in downloads on release of Nexus 7. So it's not quite what I was saying. It's probably...
So the Android sales jumped 600% when the Nexus 7 got released. Okay, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. There you go.
Thanks, chat room.
Active device installs. These are for Android. Anyway, Nexus 7. What it's showing is not what I was submitting, which it's not better than iOS, but it is showing that Nexus 7 has kind of transformed the market. Mm-hmm. Google invests in digital signature company DocuSign.
Another kick to the kidneys of the U.S. Postal Service.
Oh, dear.
Right? Why do you have to mail things?
Right. If you have electronic signatures.
Yeah. And so now if you can do that, you can do legal documents a lot faster. You can store them. You can transfer them. You can do all kinds of things.
Right.
So we should expect to see this in Google Docs.
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Google Docs becomes real ready for prime time and for businesses then, doesn't it?
This is a key, really key kind of functionality that's been missing. I mean, people are still faxing real estate documents because of the signature.
You're right. Actually, the first thing that I hope this kills is the damn fax machine.
God, yes.
Oh,
God,
seriously.
I hate
Save the Postal Service, but kill the fax machine. I don't know.
We'll save the Postal Service, but we're going to change all the drivers to self-driving cars, and then we'll save a fortune there. So, you're right.
I look forward to seeing this. Google and Oracle have been ordered to disclose which bloggers and journalists they paid to influence coverage.
Wait a second. They're paying bloggers to influence coverage?
Where's my money?
Where's my...
This is a court order from Judge William Alsup, who demanded both companies reveal which bloggers and journalists they have compensated. He's concerned that evidence presented over the course of the case may have included commentary from paid bloggers or journalists, most notably among this group, Florian Mueller of Voss Patents. We quote him all the time. He is paid by both Oracle and Microsoft. But we knew this, by the way. And this gets down to that thing of as long as you disclose, is it okay to talk about? I mean, Google says, we will comply. Oracle says, it's all Google's fault. Oracle has always disclosed all of its financial relationships in this matter. It's time for Google to do the same. We read this order to also include indirect payments to entities who in turn made comments on behalf of Google. This is going to be interesting. I'd be a little more nervous if I were getting money from Google or Oracle. But but unfortunately, none of this. You guys, I'm sure you're all right too.
No, I do not.
But what if Google had
I bought
purchased
this
ads?
T-shirt with my own money.
Yeah, exactly.
Very clear.
Yeah. Well, what if Google had purchased ads on TWiT? Would that count as being paid by them?
I don't know. Well, that's I don't know what the judge thinks. In fact, Google did buy ads on TWiT 3 or 4 years ago. They bought some ads for the Summer of Code, their internship program, which is a great program, and I was very glad to do that.
But an ad is a disclosure.
Yeah.
Right?
So is this only undisclosed?
The form of the ad is itself a form of disclosure.
It's obviously paid. We make sure that when you hear an ad, you know that it's a paid commercial.
Yeah, I was once, I think it was the Wall Street Journal was doing a story and quoted me something about Google, and then their fact checker called me to vet me and said, has Google ever paid you? And I was like, well, I got a check for 10 cents from AdSense 7 years ago, but that's not really them paying
Wait a minute. I do. We get Google, AdSense.
I sell an app in the Play Store, so I do get money from Google every month, but that's some sales through there, and we did Summer of Code for ThinkUp, which means I got a stipend for mentoring the coders who are working on, but that's not considered employment. And they questioned me about it quite a bit. They didn't quite understand. And it's it's a blurry line.
Yeah, I think if you sold something other than coverage to Google, that's legitimate. I'm selling you a product.
Right.
And since we're all disclosing, I got paid for expenses for a trip that they want me to do. And so that was all just expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Free admission to Google I.O. plus a bunch of crap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
Absolutely.
Oh, crap. Can you edit this whole thing out, Chad? Just edit that whole...
But how much money did we give them for the glass?
Oh, yeah. I gave him $1,500 for Google Glass, so we kind of broke even. I never got any crap from Google. I just want to point out.
Yeah.
Kevin Marks got all my crap.
Yeah.
He got the Google Q. He got the Chromebook. He got the Chromebox. He got the...
You
got all
gave
the
him their
Nexus.
license.
Really, seriously, if you wanted to be, sticklers about this, all of that counts as influence.
Sure.
So, this should be very interesting. Let's talk about Mat Honan. We'll talk about security, and I will get schooled in Google's two-factor authentication, which I think is crap. But perhaps I'm wrong, and I'm open-minded to all of that. I did not get a Google TV. I did not get anything. Kevin Marks got all my crap, I got to say. I bought my Google TV. I bought my Nexus 7. This is a purchased Nexus 7. You know why? You can tell because it's got a dark back.
Yep.
Not the special googly back.
Yep.
But see, I've been doing this a long time. I buy everything I can. We occasionally would get stuff for review before you buy our review show, but I buy stuff. I'm going to review on the GizWiz. I have a new segment on the GizWiz called Crap I Found on Sky Mall. And the first thing I'm going to review is something called orbital skates. And I actually paid $159 to break my ass. So I think I'm okay. Didn't get them free from the Orbital Skate Company or Sky Mall. Otherwise, could I say crap I found on Sky Mall?
Give you a break there after that?
I pay for my own. There it is. I'm going to get those, and I'm going to ride them. And I'm going to really break my
I wouldn't even get the first 6 inches.
You know what now I'm investigating? Actually, it's not the cost of the skates that worries me. It's the cost of the padding that I have to buy before I even try those skates. I want to get one of those. You know, they have the fake sumo wrestler inflatable suits. That's what I'm going to get. Because then you fall, it doesn't matter. You look like a little roly-poly doll.
Are you going to live stream this?
Yes.
Because, we got to see that.
Yes. Well, it was that or strapping mattresses to my front and back. And I thought it'd be better to rent the suit than strap the mattresses. This show brought to you by Ting. Ting. You know about Ting? Ting is so cool. Twig and Ting, like this. They go hand in hand. Go to ting.com/twig, T-I-N-G. It is the new cell phone service brought to you from Two Cows, the same people that do hover.com, with the same idea. They wanted to reinvent cell phone service. They know these other companies are terrible. So what they decided to do is let's how would you do it? If you were going to do it right, let's redesign it. So first of all, they're built on the Sprint network. So if Sprint works for you wherever you are, this will work exactly the same. Many of the same phones. But the way Ting works is you pay only for what you use. You never pay a penalty for using more than you said you were going to use. And they will refund. If you say, I'm going to use more and you don't, they will give you a refund of the stuff that you don't use every month. You can get a check from Ting. So let's go to the plans here. These are kind of, you don't really have to choose a plan, actually, because, you could say 000, and then you just pay at this rate what you use. But you could also, if you wanted to budget, you could say, well, I'm going to use 2,000 minutes. By the way, you can use this across as many phones as you want. So if you have 20 phones, you could still, and so great for a family or small business. I'm going to do, let's say 1,000 text messages. That's a lot for a month. And I'll use 3 gigabytes. Okay. That would cost you $106 a month. You want to you need more phones? Let's add some phones. Let's make it 5 phones. $130 a month for all of that. And if you use less, they refund the difference. If you use more, they just charge you at the same rate. That includes, by the way, absolutely free voicemail, picture and video messaging, 3-way calling, caller ID, and most importantly, free tethering, free hotspot. They're not trying to screw you. That's kind of a novel way to do business as a cell phone company. They actually respect their customers. Take a look at the phones. They've got great phones. And by the way, if you go to ting.com/twig and use their online savings calculator, you'll save $50 on the phone. So they're even a better deal. Galaxy S3 just came in. Yay. Yay. White or black. Not white or
yay.
Yeah, I love the S3. This is my favorite phone. They have the 32 gigabyte. And again, if you go to ting.com/twig, you just subtract $50 right off the top. They even have, inexpensive feature phones. And I like this, mobile hotspots too, at the same great pricing. So I want you to try it. Ting.com/twig. Those folks at Two Cows have really kind of staked a claim for themselves. They want to be the company that helps geeks, that takes businesses that just don't make sense, like domain registration or cell phone service, and do it right. What a novel idea. We should all support him. Ting.com/Twig. No surprises. No surprises. I'll tell you who was surprised. Mat Honan on Friday night. Matt wrote for Gizmodo. I've known him for years. He's currently writes for the Gadget Lab at Wired.com. He's a really nice guy with an 18-month-old baby. Very sweet. He was playing with his baby on Friday night when his iPhone went bloop and reset. He went, oh, that's not... He said, well, I'll just recover it. I'll restore it. Then his iPad did the same thing. Then his MacBook Air erased itself, and then that's when he knew something was wrong. His Gmail account had been hacked. Turned out the hackers had one simple aim. He has @MAT on Twitter, and they liked that. And they said, we want to own his Twitter account. And all of this was done to own his Twitter account. We now know that the technique was very interesting, did not involve hacking, cracking, brute forcing. It was all social engineering. They start off going on the net to find, they were looking for Matt's mailing address and email address. They found that with a Whois search for his personal website. He wasn't using Whois privacy, and so they got that. Then they call up Amazon. Now, this hole has been since plugged by Amazon because of the attention that Matt got. They called up Amazon and said, I want to add an email address to my existing account. Amazon says, fine, what's your mailing address? What's your email address? Okay, here's the new address. They got their own email address attached to the Amazon account. More importantly, they got the last four digits. Oh, I think they said I can't remember the details. Did they want to add a credit card? They got the last.
Add a credit card.
Add a credit card. They got the last four digits of the old credit card, and that's the key. Because it turns out if you then call Apple and you say, hey, I forgot my iCloud password. Can I reset it? They say, oh, yeah, sure. Here's the security. Oh, I don't remember the security questions either. Okay. What's your address associated with the account, your mailing address, your email, and the last four digits of the credit card associated with the account? They have that from Amazon. They gave it to him. Apple let him reset the iCloud account. They get into the iCloud account. Turns out he's got his Gmail account password change. Email is his iCloud account. So they go to Gmail. They say, hey, I want to change the password. Password gets sent to the iCloud account, which they've got into. Now they got his Gmail, they got his iCloud, and they used that to get Twitter as well, and started posting homophobic and racist tweets.
Yeah, this is basically the nightmare. This is the cloud nightmare.
He was pwned, big time. By the way, I talked to Matt last night. The good news, and I think it's okay to say this, the good news is that Apple took the laptop, did some forensics. The wipe had not completed. They didn't get to the overwrite because there was an overwrite stage. So Apple was brute forced the PIN and was able to give it back to him unlocked. I set him up with drive savers, and he's going to take it up there, and I think he's going to get all his pictures back because he didn't have it backup.
That's great. That was the real tragedy. Forget the homophobia on Twitter. Well, like he had lost the pictures of his daughter from her first year of life.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him yet, but I think that he's going to be able to get it back.
Glad to hear that.
Yes. So, and lesson learned, back up. I think we make it clear that you shouldn't have kind of this interlocking emails. You know, you should have, he says, and this is the thing that's interesting, if I had turned on two-factor authentication on my Google account, this wouldn't have happened. True. Apple has suspended temporarily, at least, its over-the-phone Apple ID password resets. They won't admit why, but it's obvious why. And Amazon has closed that security hole as well. But I talked to these hackers last night, by the way, and had a little chat, just not in person, just on Twitter. They approached me, and I verified it. That was them. And I said, well, you know, these holes have been closed. And they said, well, we got lots more. We got lots more. But they said, this is interesting. We decided not to. We feel bad about what happened to Matt, so we decided not to hurt anybody. We're just going to exploit stuff and make some money. And then I said, well, you know, you're going to get busted. You got to be really, you know, dude, stop. You're going to get arrested. And they said, oh no, we're not going to get arrested because we're not hacking anymore. We're just exploiting holes. So, Huh? I also asked if you were going to hack me, where would you start? And they said, first thing we do is we go out on the internet and we look for information about you.
Yep.
From Whois or publicly posted email addresses, that kind of thing. And then once we get some information about you, we can then, mostly what they're doing is social engineering. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, you make a list of common security questions, right? And then for public personalities like you, Leo, and like us, you go and try and find, so the Sarah Palin email hack was like, where did you meet your spouse? Wasilla High, like right on her Wikipedia page.
Obvious. So, what's the solution here? How do you fix this?
So let's talk about two-factor auth.
So I've turned it on twice now in my life. Turned it back off a month or a day or a week later for two reasons. One, it's a big pain in the ass. Now, not for everybody. In fact, I was tweeting back and forth with Matt Cutts, and he said, well, so here's how it works. If you're once you turn it on, when you go to log into your Google account, you use your normal password and then Google Authenticator on a smartphone, iPhone or Android phone, and Google Authenticator will give you a 5-digit password, which you then add. So that's two-factor authentication, something your password, and something you have, this phone, which you have previously associated with the account. The presumption being, well, to hack your account now, somebody's got to own your phone as well as know your password, and that's a lot harder. And it works fine if that's all you want to do. The problem is that there are a lot of apps that use Google Calendar, voicemail, voice contacts that don't understand second-factor authentication. So in order to get into those, now you can't use your regular password anymore. Google will generate for you application-specific passwords. These are 16 lowercase letters, so they're not very strong passwords. And here's my problem. First of all, the inconvenience involved, because I use a lot of devices and a lot of Google on these devices, and a lot of apps, and I have to go into all of those and use these special application-specific passwords. It behooves you to make sure you use a different one for each app and to record which app so that you can revoke them. But it is not required, and I've found out since, and correct me if I'm wrong, that any of those passwords can be used again and again anytime.
Right, because these are apps which need to auth with Google on a regular basis and don't support two-factor auth. So your email client expects a username and a password for POP or IMAP, right? So if you give it that application-specific password, it uses that password over and over again and saves it. So
if somebody, it's in effect replaced my secure password on Google with what I consider a fairly insecure 16-letter alpha, not even numeric, password that can be used if somebody ever gets it for anything except my Google account. I still need so anything that supports two-factor, I'm okay. So then what Matt would say, I believe what Matt would say is, well, see, for that reason, it's more secure because even if they have that password, all they can do is delete your email or wreck your calendar. They can't take over your account.
What about the problem that all of us have in having an apps account and a regular Gmail account, and the browser already gets confused between the two?
Well, and that's how two-factor authentication was in fact cracked in the Cloudflare attack. Was the guy had Google Apps and a regular account, and they were able to use it somehow in the way I don't understand to get around it. By the way, I believe it was if not the same hackers, it was hackers in the same group that did the Cloudflare hack.
So I mean, two-factor auth is a pain the way that Google has it implemented right now. I don't think that two-factor auth is bad. I think the user experience needs to be improved, and it's much more painful if you have multiple accounts, which we do, but remember, most people don't, and if you have lots of devices, which we do, but again, most people don't. And Leo, I hear you. The application-specific passwords, the Authenticator app, you can have pins texted to you. You can print out a thing that you put in your wallet. Like two-factor auth is confusing. And in fact, there was a lot about it that I didn't totally understand until this all happened and I did more reading. It's complex. It's a pain every 30 days, even every 30 days when you have multiple accounts and multiple devices.
I do not want to do this every 30 days.
I mean, it feels a lot more often.
Yeah.
Because if you've got 5 devices, you're
always
going to have
doing it.
Once a week, you have to enter this stupid PIN.
Right.
It's a crappy user experience. It needs to get better. But two-factor auth is definitely better than having a single password that you're entering everywhere. I mean,
I would turn it on. And in fact, I use two-factor in a lot of other. I use it on my bank account. I use it on my Blizzard, account so that people can't steal my my fab characters on Diablo. I use it at Facebook. By the way, has this capability. You can't log into to Facebook from another device unless you get it to send you an authentication. In every case, I use those because I'm not using apps that don't understand second factor. But the problem is so many Google apps do not. So many third-party apps do not, and so you end up
third-party apps, right?
Yeah.
That interface with Google,
Right.
particularly email clients, right?
Right.
Every single email client that interfaces with Gmail would have to add support for two-factor auth, which is obviously insane.
And I'm also concerned because now I have some insecure passwords floating around that will work.
The application-specific passwords,
Yeah, and
right.
I have to revoke them, but until I revoke them, they're good.
Right. Until you revoke them, they're good. It's true.
And okay, sure, they can't take over my account, but they could delete all my email. With
right.
that.
Right.
So
I mean,
what
you
do
know,
we do?
the realities of security, right? There's always the trade-off of security versus convenience, and there's never a completely secure. You know, it's only like so much security, right? There's never a guarantee that something is going to be perfect. I lock on my door, someone can bust through. No matter how many locks I put on my door, there's always a way inside the house. It depends on how hard the person's going to try, right? So, like, I totally get your point about having application-specific passwords, sort of putting you in the position that you were in to begin with. But, you know, most people, you're not entering that password multiple times.
You know what would be good?
Wireless.
I understand. You can do this. I think it's sufficient to have a good, strong Google password. And very important, and Matt should have had this turned on and did not, and everybody who has a Google account should do this immediately, turn on account verification through a cell phone. Because then if somebody owns your account, you can get a new password set to your cell phone and take it right back.
Right.
They'd have to have your cell phone to truly own you. I think you get 90% of the value of
I thought Matt
second
did
factor.
have it on, but his cell phone was already forked.
Oh, maybe that's it.
No, he didn't have two-factor auth on. He didn't have account
He didn't have
verification
two-factor auth, but I don't know if he had an attached mobile
Account
phone.
verification.
But it's sent via SMS. So it doesn't require a smartphone. It just requires a phone that can support SMS.
And you can, the video, Google's explainer video, which we can add in the show notes, they suggest even putting a phone number, like your spouse's phone number,
Right.
or a trusted friend. It doesn't have to be your phone.
Right.
Which is interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. Of course, you have to, if your spouse loses her phone, you've got to make sure that.
But I think, and then if you're worried, change your password every month, which is less of a pain than the two-factor authentication, but has all of the benefit.
Nobody remembers to do that, though. At least with the two-factor auth, it prompts you and says, "Hey, verify this device for another 30 days." It's a pain, but it makes me feel good about. It's like, okay, I feel secure. I know no one else is getting into my stuff. It's tough. I hear you, Leo. But if you're worried,
Are you using two-factor?
I am. I have it for both my apps account and my Gmail account, and because a lot of my personal information is out on the web. I try to answer all my security questions with completely unguessable answers. Where did you meet your spouse? Pluto.
Right.
Just completely crazy.
I do the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. Crazy answers. I put that all on LastPass. I'm using two-factor auth on LastPass as well because that's an account I don't want anyone to break into. That's a really important account.
But see, here's the funny thing is that this wasn't about password security or LastPass or any of that. And in fact, it was a social engineering. And in fact, it turns out because people forget their security questions all the time, they're really useless. Because in many cases, you just call up and say, "I don't remember them. What else can I give you?"
I saw an argument by somebody, and I can't remember what it was, arguing against remembering passwords. And his argument is because you can get your passwords back every time, put in a nonsense password, and when the app just suddenly forgets you just do an email drag to get a new password and you use that one until the next time it happens.
Right, but your email account has to then be secure. But you could do that. You could just get a new login every single time.
It's a good article in the Atlantic yesterday. Security questions, the biggest joke in online identity verification. And it makes this point that if companies are going to ignore security questions, then it's no point in even having security questions.
Yeah, I mean, they call this social engineering. To me, social engineering is like these hackers called AppleCare and charm them into giving them. This was a broken Apple policy.
Right. That
when you call a representative, and Apple issued this statement that their policies weren't fully followed, which was complete BS because Wired was able to reproduce the situation multiple times, kind of the next day. This was broken Apple policy. They were like, they want to get customers off the phone. Kevin made this point earlier in the week. You want to reduce the amount of time that anyone is on the phone with an agent. So you make it as easy as possible to kind of bypass all the checks that you get online. So, I mean, Apple had to change their policy and require more information.
Right.
Leo, did the hackers do it for some cause?
No. They did it for the lulz.
It was all for the lulz. And the short Twitter name, the MAT, MAT, which is why they targeted Matt.
Yeah, and so they didn't know who he was.
Lucky for us, Matt has an enormous platform and was able to get this fixed. And he had friends at Twitter who could restore his account. And he was able to make enough noise and has a big enough platform and is a trusted voice in tech journalism to get this fixed within a couple of days. Imagine if this had been just a regular person.
Right.
This afternoon, this has happened to you long before it did me, but I just suddenly got the Twitter verify thing. And so I'm now verified.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
One of us.
I didn't know that what they wanted was secret handshake. I know that what they wanted.
You're not?
Was
no.
Oh, you're not? Oh, well.
I'm out of the club. What's the air like up there?
Just you and me now, Jeff.
You have a lot more followers than I do, Gina. Don't worry. Way more. I miss Gina.
How did you get verified? Can you remember?
Yeah, Jeff, did they just email you or?
It came in as a DM, and all they wanted was my phone number. So I guess they were saying, we already know you. We already know it's you. You loudmouth bastard.
Let's verify it. Yeah. I don't know how. I never was contacted by Twitter in any way. They just happened one day.
But the reason is what they have now is my phone number. And I like this. That if the account is attacked, God forbid, I'm a nice guy. Please don't. They have a phone number now where they can call me and verify.
I thought the point of getting verified was that personalities who have accounts that mock them, like fake Twitter accounts, kind of made. I've never had that problem, and now that I've mentioned it, I'm sure that I will, and then I will go to Twitter and say,
that's the thing. I think the best thing to do is keep your head down and pretend you are no one and just hide, because you don't want to attract the attention of this guy Phobia and his friends. And Phobia, love you, man. You're a great guy. We had a very civilized conversation.
Phobia did a good service. I mean, the remote wipes was pretty malicious, and
I think he says he regrets it.
Yeah, he said, and I'm assuming he said that he regretted that part. But he really did do a service. I mean, he closed up 2 major security holes at Amazon and Apple this week.
And in fact, that's his point of view. He says exploiting methods for the better cause seems unlikely to get in trouble. If anything, it's beneficial and should be rewarded. This is what I'm saying.
There is a touch of a cause to it besides the lulls.
Well, no, that was not, I don't think, his original intent. I think now, retroactively, he's decided that he wants to. I think, what probably happens, like he's a kid, and I think probably what happens is there's a disconnection between what you're doing and what its impact is on a human. And when he actually talked to Matt and realized what happened, he felt bad.
Yeah, you don't have to delete a new dad's pictures of his daughter. I mean, you really don't have to do that. But he wasn't thinking about that. He was just like, oh, look, find my iPhone is on. Let's remote wipe. Oh, look, he has access to the Gizmodo account. Let's attack that too. That's just gravy. Yeah, how far can this go? Exactly.
And I think that's the real issue is that, and these guys are handing this stuff around. So once a technique is discovered, it's immediately circulated. I asked him how he started. He said he started hacking when he was 16, hacking gamer tags. He wanted a better gamer tag for his Xbox, and I wanted a cool gamer tag. So he hit up some people that I was friends with before they knew how to take accounts. They knew how to take accounts. He doesn't use punctuation. So I hit up some people that I was friends with before. They knew how to take accounts, and I learned from them.
It all starts on the Xbox, kids.
Gateway drug.
Yeah.
No, it's true. My nephews are interested in programming because they love the Xbox so much.
That's how I started. I started because I loved gaming. That's a good entry level drug.
But for you, it was Pong, Leo.
It was Star Raiders. Anyway, and Matt, I talked to Matt last night, and he said we talked about on TWiT and last night. Do listen to the TWiT if you want to hear his side of it. But he said. This is a hard story for him to cover because it's so personal and he feels bad. Yeah. But at the same time, he knows, and I think I underscored this with him. that a lot of people are getting their eyes open. This is actually, you're doing a huge, even if it's just back up your data.
Yeah, even if it's just backup.
You're doing a huge thing. And Matt Cutts wrote a Lifehacker article in which he says, turn on two-step, please, and explains how two-step works. Don't listen to Leo. Leo's full of it. Turn it on. It's the right thing to do. And he has, myth and reality and all of that. And so I agree. And by the way, Facebook has I didn't know this, and I don't know if they even publicize it. I don't know when they turn it on, but Facebook also has two-factor authentication. So turn that on.
I had no idea. I'm going into
everybody
Twitter.
should.
Twitter
really should. Now, they at least use OAuth, but they really should. Because Twitter's, and again, this is that stewardship article, Twitter's becoming more than just some social network. So if you go into your settings on your Facebook, account settings, and then click the security tab, it's not clear, but you'll see login approvals. That's their two-factor authentication. Approval is required when logging in from an unrecognized device. And if you go to edit that, don't show this because it's got all my phone numbers. Require me to enter a security code each time an unrecognized computer or device tries to access my account. And there's a couple of ways you can have text, or if you have the Facebook app on your device, the Facebook app, it turns out, has an authenticator built into it.
Please note, we currently cannot send SMS text to Google Voice numbers.
Yeah, nobody can. Even Google doesn't seem to be able to.
No.
It's not really a provider. It's a number. But I gave it my hard line number. So turn that on too. Yeah, turn on two-factor wherever you can. I use two-factor on LastPass too.
Yep.
But it turns out that's not really the vulnerability.
Yeah.
There's easier ways.
Well, it would have mitigated the damage, right?
Yep. This is my favorite story, and then we're going to get to our tip number and tool of the week because we've got triangulation coming up in a few minutes. The Ustream feed for the Curiosity landing beat primetime CNN. Yeah!
Yeah.
I love it. There were watching 3.2 million people in total.
That many.
Peaked at 500,000 people watching at the same time. That's higher than CNN Sunday prime time or MSNBC. Fox gets 803. But, CNN did a kind of, they were the only, as far as I could tell, channel even covering it live. Everybody else was doing Olympics and so forth. They didn't do a great job. I'm proud of the job.
You did a
Tom
great job.
Merritt
You did a really good job.
It's really
fascinating. I've never had a case like this, too, where I'm watching on one computer, it's borking me 3 or 4 streams of things.
Yes, and I did that too. And I noticed a lot of geeks did. I had CNN on the television. I had NASA TV. I had our thing. And I was chatting and tweeting. And the chat room, there were 1,000 people in there. And it was inspiring how excited the geek community was. And stunning to see how uninvolved the non-geek community was. They didn't even know it was happening.
Which says a lot about our future of science and technology, STEM education. I joked, because there were a lot of time delay jokes around this, but I joked that NASA really should have changed the timing of this so it happened in prime time.
I tweeted that NBC would be showing it tomorrow in prime time, edited with commentary from Ryan Seacrest. And in fact, they didn't. I was shocked they didn't. It
was great to watch. There was also a really good Google Plus Hangout with a whole bunch of astronomy people.
Of them.
That was nice.
Phil Plait did one, and he was also on our network. But so this was really encouraging to me, and it actually made me really think about our mission here at TWiT. I think STEM is it. And I think we need to, I was very disappointed. Lisa's son, who's in 4th grade, I said, are you excited about the Mars landing tonight? He said, no, I don't know anything about it. They had not talked about it in school. And that made me so sad.
Oh.
Wow.
The opportunity to get a bunch of 4th graders excited about the fact that we land a Volkswagen-sized science lab on Mars using a sky crane and nylon wires.
Oh, yeah. And the visualizations that NASA did were so brilliant. So
NASA? Can we give props to NASA for their savvy, their internet savvy, their media savvy? Yeah. I guess they had to be in this day and age.
Well, but it was also a cultural thing. Right? They saw the PR, but they understood that through openness and through trying to share everything and through bringing us in,
yes,
that was going to get the excitement going, and it was true. And just just the great geekness. I mean, probably the best thing NASA could have had, what they didn't plan on at all, was Mohawk Guy.
Mohawk Guy and superannuated hippie.
Yeah, exactly. The two of them.
Let me see. There's superannuated hippie, Mohawk Guy, and Pompadour Guy. Here they are, all three of them together, in their blue shirts. And they became, I still don't know their names. I guess it's probably here somewhere. They became the stars. Everybody was, this just shows you what the opportunity is. Certain groups of people, like geeks and smart people and the people who watch this network, this was one of the most important days, one of the most important events we lived through.
Glued to it. And I can promise you that that TWiT is going to fill the gap here, because there's just a horrible gap in science, technology, and math. Have you ever done a show for kids?
No. In fact, we're already planning it now.
You are?
In fact, I won't go into the detail, but we're starting to look at, we want to create another channel of educational content.
Yay.
Cool,
including
Leo.
stuff for kids, including stuff for grown-ups, including projects, including electronics, including science, technology, engineering, and math.
Great. Have you met Esther Wojcicki?
No, I'd love to meet her.
She's
You've talked about her before, I know, yeah.
Mother-in-law of Sergey and daughter in Google and the third one I'm forgetting, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But really amazing. She's a teacher at Palo Alto High, and she teaches journalism there. And she came and brought her students to she brought her students to New York. She does this like every other year. And she brings 40 students to New York to go around with a tour you would not believe of leading media organizations. And they just do great stuff. And she does amazing things with her students. She is one of the she and Lauren Weinstein are my two favorite Google Plus users. Esther's in there with great links, great stuff. And she's a heck of an educator. And I think she'd be really good to involve.
Well, there's a lot of people. I'm starting to put this together. It wouldn't be till next year, but it is something that this really galvanized that in my mind, that we really need to. Since the schools don't seem to be interested, or at least some schools, and since obviously television has completely, talk about stewardship, completely dropped the ball.
There's another great guy named Will Richardson. Look him up. Really is very good at educating young people with the stuff and bringing the web into the classroom and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just wrote this big grant proposal that I've blogged about parts of this, trying to rethink how we rethink teaching tools.
Yeah.
And how we set outcomes first and curate online stuff and rethink how we do it. And we've got to scale. We're bankrupting future generations with the cost of education. That alone is irresponsible. We're setting them in the wrong ways, the things that we don't need and that are not going to be good for them. We're boring them. I think you can do more than just push science and technology in education. I think you can start to change education, Leo.
I think we want to do that. Although there's people ahead of us like Salman Khan and Sebastian Thrun. But I think it's part of a movement. There's something happening.
There's lots of opportunity.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And by the way, the Mohawk guy tweets as Tweets Out Loud on Twitter. Bobak F., the flight director on the Mars Science Lab.
And the story, for those who don't know, is he gets a different haircut for every mission.
Oh,
cool.
So his colleagues, I think he gave them a choice, and his colleagues picked this one.
That's a mistake, and I'm never going to do it, so stop asking, Chad.
The video of all of them like rejoicing and embracing,
wasn't that moving?
Crying. It was,
well,
amazing.
I think they shared probably the same feeling we all had, that this cannot possibly work. Have you seen what they're trying to do? This cannot possibly work. And it did. And it's, boy, it's kind of neat to see this at the same time as you see the Olympics, where you see human achievement in two different spheres. Just, it's mind-boggling. It gives me hope.
And both through science.
And both through, yes, I guess you're right. I think Olympic performance very much influenced by.
Some more than others.
Yeah, by what we've learned. All right, I got to play this. It has nothing to do with Twig, but I just love it. Did you see Conan talk about Apple and
Samsung?
Samsung. We got to skip the ad, so hold on just a second. It's a pretty funny ad. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Conan O'Brien, of course. This shows you that at least in some quarters, what's going on in technology has sunk into the consciousness of normal people because he's talking about the Samsung versus Apple copyright trial and patent trial.
And the audience gets the joke.
Pretty nerdy.
And the audience gets the joke. Here you go. This is from Conan O'Brien. Oh, no, I'm getting noise. Oh, let me unplug and unplug it again. Unless you want to play it, Chad. There's something going on with it. I think if I replug, silencing happens. Conan's pretty.
He's claiming that Samsung copied iPhone technology to market its own products. Well, Samsung's vice president of electronics has already released a video that's defending his
This is a
company.
fake video.
It's a video message defending Samsung.
I don't have to tell
Let's
you
take a look.
Hello. Apple's claim that Samsung has copied their technology is an allegation we're vigorously denying. Since we entered the personal electronics space, Samsung has created products that, as you can see, bear no similarity to Apple. Notice the grayer edge of our Galaxy phone. And what about our Galaxy tablet? Not even close. It's not just electronics. Samsung's originality is also on display in our home appliances. Whether it's our new microwave oven, our Vac Pro vacuum cleaner, or eye washer with scroll wheel control. Believe me? Then come to our retail stores, where you can talk more about our products with a Samsung smart guy. And, a lot of people ask, how does Samsung stay so original, so innovative? It's very simple, really. We stay true to the vision of Samsung founder Stefan Jobs.
Okay, Sam's Apple. That probably did more to win the trial for Apple than any motion, any deposition. Pretty amazing. All right, we're gonna we got to run because we've got a great interview coming up. Daniel Suarez for Triangulation, talking about his new book, Kill Decision. But before we go, time for our tip, number, and tool of the week. Starting with you, Gina Trapani, your tip of the week.
Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier. If you want to get your Gmail messages in your search results, you have to opt in. Do so. Go to google.com/experimental/Gmail field trial. No spaces, no dots or anything. And you can opt in to try out getting your Gmail messages. Google Apps accounts are not supported. So you gotta just use your vanilla Gmail account. And you can, give it a try. And if you don't like it, you can opt out and you won't see it anymore.
And you and I got accepted right away, although I've seen others in our chat room who say they did not.
They didn't. So there might be a little bit of a wait. You'll get an email notification letting you know if you get accepted.
Yeah. Jeff, numbers.
Well, at that Google search event this morning, NextWeb had a report from it with some wonderful numbers in there. Thank you, NextWeb. Google crawls 20 billion web pages a day out of 30 trillion URLs on the web.
Wow.
The company now serves 100 billion searches every month. And by the way, the search team has made 530 improvements to search already this year.
More than one a day, rather. That's impressive. Have I talked about Mighty Text? Did I do Mighty Text yet?
I don't think so.
No,
it's a Chrome plugin. So I love this. If you're using an Android phone, it does not work on iOS. Mighty Text is a Chrome plugin that lets you, mightytext.net/app. You know what? Don't show it because now I'm so paranoid about my numbers and my emails and other people's numbers. I almost don't want to show this stuff online. But what it does is it allows you to go to the desktop, start typing text messages. It uses your Android phone. It's tied into that account and continue threads back and forth. So you see the text on the phone, you see the text on your Chrome. It is really great. It will also notify you if you get text on the desktop or if your phone rings on the desktop. And it's free. Mightytext. What did I say? .net or .com? .com. No, I think it's .net. Mightytext.net. It is a Google plugin, and I think you're going to really like it. I find it very
Except it's not compatible with my Nexus 7.
No, because it's not a phone, dude.
Oh.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, could be.
Hello?
Oh.
Hello? You need an Android phone. That would be the one little caveat.
What does that mean?
I actually asked them, I said, what does that mean?
I just put it in my face, and that's what I got.
You borked it, dude.
The device needs to have a number, a phone number associated with it, basically.
Oh, I see.
Is that what that means?
I'm
no,
assuming.
it's their logo. It's their logo.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was some
What is that?
Easter egg or error message.
It does. It needs an Android phone. And I asked them if it would work with iOS, and they say no. The restrictions on iOS prevent it from working with iOS, but it does work. It's more than Google Voice. By the way, pictures will go through, So no, it's more than Google Voice. It's Google Voice does let you text from the desktop, but it's only text, and it's using your Google Voice number. Anyway, just try it, and you'll see what I mean. I really like it. It's kind of like iMessage for Android is, I guess, probably the closest thing to compare it to.
I've started to get notifications in Google Voice if someone has sent me an MMS, and then I get the email. I get it via email.
Oh, well, that works.
Which is a little better than not getting any notification at all.
Yeah, it used to be they'd send you a picture and you didn't even know.
Yeah, you had no idea.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you just say MMS, it sends you a text message saying MMS received, and then I went to my email and I saw the picture. So Google Voice is getting a little better, but that is definitely one of the most frustrating things about it.
Well, it's been fun, gang. So glad to have you back. Gina Trapani is at smarterware.org.
Glad to be back.
Anything else in your hopper that you want to tell us about?
Nothing much. Just heads down on cracking on ThinkUp, working on a new to-do text release too. So, no, nothing much. Just follow me on Google+. I've been spending a little more time there and on Twitter. That's it.
Perfecting that meatball recipe. Yeah, baby.
I may have to put that up so people can fork it.
Oh, I would definitely fork that. Definitely. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Always a pleasure. Buzzmachine.com.
As always.
You're going to be on CNN again soon, so we can see you in a
Not that I know of. I'm appearing in my students' Kickstarter video, so I want to give them a quick plug.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Kickstarter narratively. And Noah has done a wonderful business of changing narrative form, covering New York in new ways, got together a whole bunch of young people. So let's make the business work.
There are so many cool things in this world.
Yeah.
The young people. It's all about the young people.
The whippersnappers.
That's why I hang out with them.
Yeah. And I guess since we mentioned app.net, we should talk about join.app.net. It is a paid Twitter alternative. The idea being if they don't sell ads, it's like a better thing somehow. And they're so close. 5 days left. It's not a Kickstarter. It's like because it violates Kickstarter's terms of service, he's doing it himself. But it's really cool. And I've been on it. I have an app.net account, and I'm just really having fun with it. And I do believe that an open API, an ad-free experience, it's worth it to me. And I'd like to see more people support that. So join.app.net. You can find out more. And he's got the Kickstarter-like video and all that. Hey, thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. We do this show every Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 12 plus 1 is 13 plus 7 is 2000 UTC on twit.tv, or you can always get on-demand versions after the fact, wherever finer podcasts are supplied, including twit.tv/twig. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us on This Week in Google.